Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Rosie here. Trying out something a little different today. I said we were gonna open it up to a discussion on our from yesterday's video about the hooks in Dead by Daylight being absolutely useless. And we got some good comments, so we're gonna go ahead and read some of them. I'm only gonna read some of the bigger ones, some of the smaller ones. There's just not a lot to comment on, besides me tooting my own horn and going, "Yeah, you're right, guys." Okay, so let's go ahead. We got some decent comments here. Let's go ahead and take this one. They literally have PTB to test many things out, different changes to mechanics and such, but no, instead we have her, here's a chapter you'll need money for, that's complete and filled with bugs, have fun. I agree. If I was running the game, the PTBs would look incredibly different. Okay? First of all, I don't like this notion that, like, this is just a personal thing. I don't like the notion of how everybody jokes around on a PTB. I know it's like, I know it's like it's a low stakes match, and that's why everyone kind of jokes around on it. But like you're testing the killer. You can't really test the killer and the survivor's perks and all that. You can't test anything if you're just joking around. And I think a way to kind of deal with that issue is to let people joke around a bit more on the actual live servers. So that, because I feel like when PTB comes out, everybody just goes and gets their joking done there. And I just feel like PTBs don't really get the treatment they should be getting. A way to do that, again, is ranked and casual mode. Like just regular match and then ranked matches. I don't know how hard this is, but, you know, whatever. But yeah, PTB to test out mechanic changes. Dude, they should test out changes that they might not even put in the game. Like, they should just go, here, it's a 45. In this PTB, survivors' hooks have been reduced to 45. Have fun. Go in there. Every time between hook stages. And then they should look at the results. But as long as you have a community that doesn't take PTB seriously, and honestly, the PTBs being separated from most of the player base, I just think that it's a big problem. I wish there was a way for them to get the PTBs out to everybody, but you know, I don't know. I don't know. I think they waste PTBs personally, and I think you're right about that. Okay, so next. The problem with hooks is that they actually, I should probably say your people's names. That was from IR Tenubes. Who said that one? This one is from, I guess I'm just going to pronounce it, Video Gamer. The problem with hooks is that all they actually do is they bring you closer to taking someone out of the game. So if need be, you can do so and win off of it. Not only does this give even more reason to tunnel, it just wastes so much time to do it. The time it takes to pick someone up, take them to a hook, and hook them is way too long just to barely inch closer to a kill. And the only reason you would is for some sort of perk to work or to hopefully get a kill. I mean, you can technically get survivors to move around and save, which wastes time and is more crucial than picking up a slug. It doesn't change the fact that it takes more time to do that and becomes more negligible. Okay, so like what you said there, you're talking about how, I would argue, Video Gamer, that the time that you're talking about, the time to pick up the survivor and drag them over to the hook makes it so hooking itself is a dumb action in some situations. It depends on what situation you are, but like you're talking about how it can technically get the survivors to kind of move around a little bit and have to commit to a harder rescue. Slugging, I'd argue, is more pressure. I think slugging is a more legitimate way to win. I think you hook. When I play killer, I hook until the slug play opens up, and then when the slug play opens up, I take the slug play. As soon as all the hooks are right now, for me, besides if you just get that third one, I said all the hooks were useless in that video. That's not necessarily true. 8 of the hooks in the match are useless, right? Is that it? 4, 8, yeah. Because the last 4 hooks, when you actually kill somebody, those aren't useless. So, like, the first 8 hooks of the match are useless. Well, that's not even true either, because you can tunnel somebody. But yeah, I certainly see with what you're saying with how, because like, if you take and hook somebody, like, that effect, like, that's just not worth it in a lot of situations. It's not worth the time you'd spend doing it. Especially if your killer is like Shitslinger, who already has bad pressure. Like, hooking can lose you games sometimes. And if you played killer before, it definitely already has. So yeah, I agree with that. You definitely can waste a lot of your time just picking somebody up. Tunneling I still think isn't very good just because of decisive strike and all that. If someone's like doesn't have DS, and like if there's no DS in the game, sure, tunneling's a lot easier. But because of the anti-tunnel stuff, I still think tunneling's just not very good. Okay, so that's that one. Superior Rose, I love you, dude. I don't know how to pronounce this one. Savexi? Savonzi? Svixi. That's supposed to be an I. They're doing the True Talent thing. Svixi. Okay. Even though I don't agree with everything you say, I like how every one of your points has good arguments backing them up. Keep it up, Rosie. I wish Otts felt the same way. I would love to see you get bigger one day so more people can see your way of thinking. Anyway, about the theme of this video, yes, I agree that one hook is no pressure, and a good way to fix that would be to mess with the hook timer a little. Here's an idea for the updated hook timer that they could test. 5 gens need to be done to power the gate. 1 gen... 5 times 8, 400 seconds divided by 4 survivors. Every survivor gets 100 seconds of being on the hook before being killed. So the math kind of balances out. Okay, sure. If not unhooked in the meantime. There was a rather small change that probably wouldn't change much, but messing with the hook timer could easily break the game, so I believe they should start the test with 50-second stages and then look at the changes and tweak the time accordingly. So yeah, 50 seconds. 50 plus 50 is 100. It's kind of in line with the gen spacing. I kind of see what you mean. There's another thing that there's somebody else's comment up here talks about that as well, about how I believe it was his suggestion was let's find that one. Let's find that one first. Because like time this it like relates to some mathematical thing. Here it is. TB. My idea was to make hooks equivalent to gens. If the gens are 80 seconds, then hooks should be 80 seconds. So that would be 40-40. As opposed so TB and Svixi kind of have a similar idea where it's kind of based around the survivor's objective. Instead of just being a flat 60 seconds, it's kind of in line with the survivor's objectives in some ways. Sfixi's total gen time and TB's was singular gen. I would assume. Yeah, 80. He said 80, didn't he? Yeah. So yeah, I think I think those are both interesting ideas. Again, I think 50. If they were to do one of these ideas, 50 would probably get tested first, because that's a less amount of time. If you go from 1 minute to 30 seconds, the Dead by Daylight community will bitch and the idea is never going to work. So, 50 is definitely a starting point, and if it's still too good, lower it gradually, bro. Lower it gradually. Alright, Captain Salty, game over. If anything would be in Dead by Daylight, that would be an identity everybody would bitch about it. I've said that before as well. The problem you have with that is that chases don't matter, and more importantly, survivors have the fucking control in the chases. On top of that, gens still have to be done. Dead by Daylight has multiple issues that Identity 5 kind of fixes by checking them. Identity 5 does check the issues in Dead by Daylight. There is no way, I 100% believe that the developers of Identity 5 are watching this game. They're watching every patch the game has, and they're seeing everything that goes wrong. It's because they are making sure that they don't repeat the same mistakes. Okay? I 100% believe that. There's, like, Identity 5 is not perfect. Like, we don't, but, like, it's certainly way better than Dead by Daylight, because they've checked those issues, and the player base feels like we're listening to a little bit more there. Alright, next. Sterile Junes. I honestly wish the struggle phase time was halved or lessened. It should create urgency, because it's literally called the struggle phase. A survivor is literally struggling to stay alive. I even hate this when I play Survivor. I don't want to spend so long spamming one button, and in solo queue, people take forever to rescue. But I think how they would really balance it. Okay, so that's interesting. Maybe you could do maybe 90 seconds. You could do 50 and then 40 on the first one. Like that 20 seconds would really add up. Or maybe you could take the idea down here where it's 60 seconds for hook 1, because that's the lenient one. And then, what was that, at 100 seconds? So 60 and then 40 for the second one. So like you could make a separation that the struggle phase is more pressure. That would make a struggle phase hook more valuable than just a regular hook, I think. I think that would be interesting. That would be an interesting idea to test. Maybe 60 and then 40. Or 50 then 40. Hook 2 being stronger than hook 1. Especially that would help killers late game. I think that's a neat idea, honestly. Hearts. Lars, my man. This all goes into basing the balancing over the top percent and high level of play. Unfortunately, the developers have no confidence in the survivor role being able to survive, so they protect them. In the end, this game will always be 4 friends bullying one person. If they can't bully the person, they'll eventually learn how to. Even solo queue players can do this, so there's no really an in-between here. Also, for every serious nerf to the survival role, they'll add in an extremely huge buff. This game will always offer an illusionary experience no matter what. It's interesting that you say that. The DS nerf is coming in, and the perks from this chapter don't look to be a huge buff for survivors. So I think their buff for the DS change is probably coming. So we'll have to see what the devs have in mind. Because the killers are not getting this decisive strike change without losing something. We did lose Undying, so maybe that was their way of balancing it out. Hopefully. We lost Undying, and so maybe they lost DS. But knowing these devs, there's definitely a fucking survivor buff coming. There's always a survivor buff around the corner, ladies and gentlemen. Gaming Spider, I'm better at Identity 5 than I am at Dead by Daylight, and reinstalled Identity 5 a few days ago after I took a 4-year break. Good on you for reinstalling. That's keep playing that game. Alright, TR. I had a game yesterday where they finished 3 gens in the time I hooked the first survivor and went for the next one that Barbecue showed me, so I was in the next chase pretty fast. The other 2 just finished the last 2 gens and let the survivor die on hook. That's because they were on comms, my friend. And then the last one I hooked with borrowed time and bye-bye. Awesome game. 2 hooks in under 5 minutes, yay. Well, dude. I just think you're looking at it from a bad perspective, bro. Hey guys, Scott here. You're not really seeing tournament teams as much as you think you are, even though you're losing in under 5 minutes at Red Rank. You're not really seeing tournament teams as much as you think you are. Tournament teams, there's like 20 tournament teams in the world, so you're just being an entitled brat. Clown. He's a bitch, bro. So yeah, that's just what you dealt with. There was an instance of the survivor team exploiting this very issue. The guy just said, "Leave me on hook. I don't even care." It was you faced a very deep hip squad type of team, and that's why you lost. And because there's no way to actually win that, so you don't like fret over that. You can't win that. Booty, Bud, 631. Gens are too fast, maps are too big, hook timers are too long, second chance perks too plentiful, too easy to waste the killer's time. Other than that, the game is perfect. That's quite a lot of flaws, my friend. If you just ignore everything, then yeah, I guess the game is perfect. Lol. Yeah, you understand, bro. Other than all that, the game's perfect. And over TBs, Reaper Tech. Survivors also have too much counterplay to hooks. Hooks are only useful for getting my pop active, but even then, it's just duty. Slugging gives you way more pressure and it creates an actual stress and urgency to survivors. If hooks were a lot like rocket chairs, then the hooks would actually be able to pressure. I do have some ideas for how to make hooks stronger, but I think I'm going to make a video on it instead. Fantastic, my boy. Get that out to me. Last one, TK. You got a reply. What do you say? This is just the off the top of my head, but the maps needing a seriously tile adjustments and resizing could be the solution, or when a survivor is on the hook and the whole team gets a sort of debuff depending on how many survivors are hooked. And the way to remove it is to rescue and get the survivors off gens. That's kind of what Identity 5 does. A lot of survivors get debuffs to gen repair speed when someone is chaired or even downed. Now this got a reply, so let's see what this is. People like Scott John like to shit on the Midwich Elementary School for the layout, even though the map is one of the smallest there is in Dead by Daylight. I don't personally feel that. I actually agree with Scott there. Why? This is both Neptune's reply. Why do you think Midwich is easy to pressure? I don't think the loops are perfect. The layout definitely needs to be improved. But you know the map is in the killer's favor where you can actually pressure 2 parallel gates. Okay, I mean, that's just the gates, bro. That's endgame. Which is impossible on most maps unless you're a stronger map traversal killer. Maps need to stay within a specific area limit. See, I agree with this. Nothing larger than 144 square tiles. The maps that include this are Wrecker's Yard and Badham Preschool. Don't like Badham. The game, ugh. Father Campbell's and Badham, ugh. Hawkins, Rancid Abattoir, Dead Dog, Coal Tower, Midwich Elementary School. To never completely neglect the remaining mats, my suggestion would be to increase the number of gens. So in the most extreme cases, Mother's Dwelling, you have to do at most maybe 7 or 8 gens. They'd have to increase the number of generators that spawn there as well. Interesting idea though. If you want to make a bigger map more balanced, you would have to increase the objective there. That's an interesting idea. It's something they'd have to play around with and test in a PTB that nobody cares about. But I don't know. Interesting solution. I don't think they're gonna actually do that though. I also don't like Midwich. But I don't understand why you think Midwich is easy to pressure against good teams. It gets object. It's straight up impossible. I agree that the gates are good, but and the loops aren't the worst in the game. But like still, the pressure is terrible. It's hard to link plays there. Okay, so I think that's everything, lads. I think that's all of the comments that were worth going over. I appreciate all the comments. Let me know if this is something you want to keep doing. I feel like this is more interactive than me just yelling and telling you guys to do something. I might do this again for the Why People Quit video. Alright, let me know what you guys think. GG's.